September 30th of 2015, fiscal 2015, year 2015, to have them paid off, forgive it, and set all back in again.
Okay.
These grants are made up of, they're either 100% cash match or an in-kind match. And the last 3 years I have done the in-kind match so that there's no cost to the town whatsoever. The in-kind match is mainly proven to the state that it will cost so much money to operate the emergency operating center when we have an emergency. So with the both grants together, the fiscal 13 grant, we can have $1,975. The fiscal 14 grant, we can have $2,460. So it ends up with $4,435 altogether. And operating the emergency operating center, they will allow us either 24, 36, or 48 hours to come up with the amount of money for in-kind grant. And
Sorry, Doug, I just missed that. You said we got 24 hours?
we can come up to with how much the in-kind grant is. Either a 20-hour manning it, 36-hour manning it, or 48. I put in for 36, because I think a day and a half would be pretty close. I mean, everybody volunteers a lot of time anyhow. The heat and the AC, depending on the time of year, would be $1,000. This is for the fire station. Electricity is $450, the water and sewer is $200, and running the EOC for 36 hours, this would be labor time, would be $3,780. And they allow us $15 an hour, and it would be 7 personnel in that center at all times, which would be the EMD, the assistant EMD, the scribe, and then the fire, police, highway, and animal control officer, or their representatives would have to be there. This year, the federal government came up with the animal control officer has to be involved in any emergency or disaster.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that about a year ago.
So by doing all that, it ends up that the in-kind match would be $5,430. So that covers that $4,400. All we got to do is come up with what we want. And I asked the fire chief, he wanted rain gear for all of his firefighters. I thought it was a great idea. The list says, no, you can't have turnout gear. You can't have clothing. So what we have to end up with is either we're looking at a new computer for the EMD, emergency manager, because the committee, or what was it?
Tech committee?
Yeah, the tech committee is saying that computer should be replaced this next year anyhow. So I'm going to replace that one. We have a couple other things that we're passing around, and at this moment, until I know for sure, legally we can do it. I don't want to say too much and get all of us in trouble. And the other thing is a personal ID system that we can make ID cards out from the computers with a camera and everything, and literally make a plastic ID card for everybody, which we do not have now. Nobody. Tomorrow morning, if we had to go out here on the road, if we didn't have a big Willard jackets that say everything, or the firefighters turnout gear, nobody would know who you were. So we are going to have that. I have a quote for that one already, which is $2,200. And that quote, they has already put right out that that's good until December 14th of 2014. So we're all set on that to get that.
And the 2200 was for what again?
It's what they call a personal ID system.
Yeah.
That, it comes in with a camera,
Mhm.
software to go into your computer,
Yeah.
all the cards and all that, so that we can literally make a ID card either in here or at the fire station.
So the ID cards have any sort of magnetic strip or a chip in them or anything like
There would be
that?
no magnetic,
Nothing like that?
no chip, no. It would be, excuse me, it would be just an ordinary plastic ID card where the front would have your picture on it and say Ashfield Fire Department or Ashfield Emergency Services. And then on the back, it would have for your ID, say your name, your address, your height, your weight, or any allergies or things like that.
Height, weight, height I'm not so afraid of.
But allergies or things like that, that would be in there. So that if for some reason, God forbid, you fell down and you had to have an ambulance, they could see that. Because it would have one of these that you see all the time that you can, you know, put the gray around it.
Do we have somebody on our IT tech committee who, there's got to be somebody we have who's tech savvy enough, because you can do that from like Access database or something. I do it at work. I make ID cards for our volunteers and run them through a laminator. It's nothing. And it'd be part of the computer that you would buy.
Yeah, this goes, they send a CD with it and you do it all on the computer, it's just a camera that's there with the cards and things like that.
Yeah, so any digital camera, the town must own a digital camera, could take the picture, load that in the computer, use the software that comes with the computer package, and you'd be able to produce that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at. I'm also looking at a good camera because now, like when we had the ice storm or Hurricane Irene, especially the ice storm, I had a lot of people going out taking pictures anywhere. Or like on Irene, Paulette and Suzanne went out, I don't know how many pictures they took of damages in Irene. But if there was something damaged, we pick it up and take it up the highway garage. Now the new law reads, you can't move anything until you have it documented. So if there's a tree down in the road, we can't move that until we have a picture of the time and the day. So we have to get a good camera to be able to go out there and do that.
Camera that would put a date and time stamp right on it.
So things like that I'm looking at to get it, and we'll have it all set by, so we can have it for the 31st.
I mean, you know this, you go to a lot more meetings, but I'm wondering, can you get a trailer like the highway superintendent got about a year and a half ago with signage and that sort of thing? You know, if you've got a spot where you don't want people to travel, that you can put up. And he's got it all in a trailer, you know, a lot of different signs that you can put up. Do not
haven't looked at that.
Do not pass this point, do not, you know.
I haven't looked at the list on that part of it, I will, I don't know.
I mean, that might be something, you know, if it was set right there, that you could drop it on.
Yeah. The fire department has, as you have seen, the emergency ahead sign that they can put out. But I don't know whether that's on that list. That list is, I hate to say it, but the list is for the cities.
Well, I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah, but I will look into that and see if there is something like that.
You would be the one to know if there was a use for it.
Yeah.
But in a situation where if it was an all-out emergency, in my mind, you wouldn't have enough people to go out to stop traffic, so you'd have to put up, you know, if you had signs, you could, your resources, it seems to me, would be better used.
Yeah, because there are times that, Mary knows, when she was in the emergency operating center in Paulette, she was in it, that there are times when, excuse my language, all hell breaks loose in a hurry. And then there's times that you're doing nothing. So anyhow, this is the grant that I got.
when you get that filled out, are you gonna need a select board signature? Or-
Not on this, it'll be once I send this in and they send the contract back like before, the select board had to sign it at that time. But that
To accept it,
yeah,
to accept it.
yes, to accept it all. And that'll probably be, I'd say, middle of July sometime, before that everything's back. Yeah, it will have to be at that time. But by that time, we'll have, and I'll get everything back to Mary, so you will know exactly what we're putting in. And go that way.
Ron, anything?
Yeah, I think one thing you should look into, in light of what we were just talking about with Dell and Emma, was look into these signs. Not the kind that you put on a trailer, but the kind that are permanently mounted near the school, both sides of the road, that if a principal encounters a emergency, or the emergency management director encounters an emergency, simply hit a button that says, children in the road, speed limit 10 miles an hour, exercise utmost caution. It'd be interesting to see what a sign like that would cost.
Yeah.
That's permanently mounted, big yellow sort of thing, and it's not on all the time, only if there's an emergency. And it would be nice to know that, because that's also our emergency center. So maybe it could have to be a dual function sign that says, emergency center now in operation, or something like that.
I was going to put in for, seeing that we have to have the animal control officer involved now, and you can't deny a person with the service dogs from a shelter, and the Mohawk superintendent says yes, he has designated one room for that, so I was going to buy some of the folding cages, so we could put it, but didn't leave the folding cages with our emergency shelter kit that we have up at school, and they said no, I couldn't do that. Because the animal control officer thing is too new for they made the law, but it's too new for them to make anything else up to go with it, so they can't.
It'd be good to get a quote for those signs.
Yeah, I'll look into that too.
I think that's the curse of a full-time legislature, is they're so busy making laws. All right. Anything else, Doug?
No, everything right now is nice and quiet. Kyle and I have been to the NEMA meetings, the last two of them.
Where is Kyle?
Somewhere around here. So everything is moving along peacefully, and hopefully we don't have something, but we know we will eventually.
Did you drive, Kyle, to the meeting? Huh? No. Doug did. It's hard for him to give up the steering wheel. Paulette, you have something to add?
I just wanted to ask a question. He said something very important, I think, that they don't want you to move anything or disturb it, so you have pictures of it. And if we had another Irene, how would the town alert all the people that are very helpful and go out and try to help by moving
Well, I
things
think
before you
this-
can get pictures?
I think this $15 thing to do that. I think we can incorporate that into
No,
What's
so
that?
the people know not to do it, as opposed to...
it. Oh, I see what you mean.
Because everybody's eager to help. And if they're not supposed to move anything till you get your pictures, I was just wondering how we might want to attack that, because everybody's trying to jump in and help you.
I think, now this is just a comment, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I think if whoever, whether it's Mary Lynn, Ann, or myself, put out over our emergency communication telephone that, if something does happen, please don't move anything until they know there's somebody there.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, yeah, they kind of made it so you can't touch it till you get
Yeah,
a
it
picture.
does.
It almost seems like you want to incorporate some sort of community outreach when there's not an emergency to notify everyone of these laws. Because I know that our telephone service was down during Irene, and we wouldn't have gotten the message.
Yeah.
So,
Well, see, I try to put out, we get a notice almost a week before anything, unless it's a tornado that comes in a hurry. But we get noticed right along with, from MEMA, from FEMA, from Albany's weather. And Mary also gets it on her computer up here also. So I mean, we try to put it out long before, so we could do something like that. And the last one that we did put out, I had 98% of people got that telephone call. And sometimes you don't, but this last one, I had a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna,
You're not gonna get
every
it.
single emergency, and at some point, in my mind, the last thing you want to do is discourage people from trying to help what they can. I mean, the big projects, you know, most people aren't gonna be able, you know, Lenny Roberts would head out there with a big loader to move a tree across the road or something. But most people don't have that resource available to them, you
And
know.
it might be a situation also, if they had some little thing that they figured they could do, please take a picture of it and have it dated before and so we can have that to go. I mean, it helped great with Irene, with Paulette and Suzanne, and I don't know, 5 or 6 other firefighters that went around, because when FEMA came to Tommy and I the first time, oh, you got pictures of it. Well, good, that way you didn't have to wait for the roads wait for us to get here before you did anything with the roads.
Sure, you know, I mean, we're glad we got some, I'm glad that we have so many people in town that do have
Yes.
resources. I mean, I'm thinking back to the flood of '87, you know, how many people would have been without anything if Lenny Roberts wasn't able to take skidders and loaders and help the highway department. I mean, sometimes some of those big culverts were washed a half-mile away, and he was able to snake them back up until we put stone on them to hold them down again.
So you figure with the ice storm, all the guys with lawn loaders went out and picked up all that stuff for,
Sure.
and nothing to, I mean, they didn't charge us nothing either, so
Okay.
it was good.
Okay, Doug. Well,
Tom,
you find some money.
I have a quick suggestion. We have a town newspaper. Why don't you write up an article to submit to the Ashfield News about what you were just talking about, that if there is a disaster of some sort, please do not move things until the picture is taken. Isn't that what we've got that newspaper for?
Well, a little article, that would be a great thing to assign to an assistant emergency. All right, Doug, thank you. Thank you. All right. Get us some money and we'll worry about how to spend it later, right? All right, that takes care of our appointments. Oh, new business. Well, the first thing I had, what are so many people here for tonight that they want to hear discussed? Anything in particular that anybody's here for? I mean, I don't want to hold, we've got a big paragraph here of new business. If we're waiting for something special, are we?
Maybe.
Pipeline.
And
So that-
it is not on the agenda. What you have is a copy of a letter with some material that Cindy provided so you could get a look at it, so that when it is on the agenda for a meeting, you'll kind of be ready to discuss it.
And I'd like to know what's going on with Smith Road.
3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So we have 6 pieces of new business that are on the agenda. And we have 2 pieces of old business that are on the agenda. So the pipeline is not on the agenda.
No, it's
It's part of our mail. So, and it seems though I saw it here somewhere.
Is this one?
Yes. So I haven't even had, Cindy, I haven't even had a chance to read this yet.
Okay.
So, to think that there'd be much action on it tonight, I think we're jumping the gun just a little bit. We do, I mean, that is one of the things that we need to discuss for our next meeting, is we do have this special town meeting on the 23rd of June, where we're going to take up that original petition article that was on annual town meeting.
Mhm.
So really, our next meeting, June 2nd, we'll have to be talking about posting that. We've got to post that 14 days prior, since it's a special.
That's the last day that anyone has anything else to put on that warrant for the special town meeting to be submitted. Some of the things that are going on with the gas company people, they are upping the ante, they are increasing their timelines. So there is a concern that if the town does not step forward and take a stance one way or the other, there's going to be some legal issues.
But June 23rd certainly fits within that.
That's for the rights resolution, it's not specifically for the pipeline. The rights resolution, Carrie, is for all outside corporations, people who are not residents here, companies and corporations that are not residents here in Ashfield. And it's to help protect the town from wind farms, anything else, because it demands that we take a town vote on it, which is fine. The gas company people are trying to get things done as quickly and as fast as they can to prevent towns from doing things that may or may not stop them.
Certainly, we can't deliberate on this
No.
tonight, but if these folks wanted to stick around to public comment, could they just make a short comment?
That would be fine. I'm just telling you that it's not on our agenda, that we have been trying to work through and get a lot of these things taken care of, but we do have on the agenda a public comment period, so.
Right. And I appreciate what you're doing. I know you've been very good.
I just don't want people staring at us and thinking that, why aren't you taking care of my situation? And we're trying to get beyond that, so.
Thank you, John.
All right, the discussion, here's, as much as we hate the word, this is the next piece of business, is a little bit of brainstorming. We talked about, setting some priorities on some of the things that we need to get accomplished. And you guys have kind of, I hope, have come with some ideas. I mean, certainly the retaining wall and the dam.
So my key focus is, I'm turning the lid on grants, looking for every way possible to pay for those, other than to inflict the damage.
Yeah.
And so that's a pretty full bill to fill.
Are we in a position now to execute, since the money's been voted, we have enough money voted, even though it's not available until July 1st, are we in a position to execute a contract with Ty and Bond?
We are. I've contacted them, and I've got one ready when you're ready to move forward on that tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in the retaining wall, we're moving forward on that.
That is being executed by the board, the field board, and we are committed to the 1/3 of the assessment portion of that only at this point in time. And, yeah, they've signed it and sent it in.
Todd, you grabbing onto that highway department? Have you given it a good shake yet?
I'll take a little bit.
Take a look. One of the things that I did not mention to you, not because I was keeping it from you, just that I didn't think of it, is it's been presented to me, and it wasn't presented to me until January, maybe February. Well, the snow was plenty deep. Is that the road is over the property line. And that road was put in there. So at some point, we need to investigate that. If the road, that access road needs to be moved. It was kind of hard to discuss it and research it when you couldn't see anything.
Right.
But I think you need to get together with Curtis.
That's the property over there,
Yeah. He sold us the property, actually.
on the south side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he'd like to get it resolved. And I don't think it's over by a quarter of a mile. I think it's over by some number of feet. But
Did the town plant that row of trees there when we put that in?
I'm not sure who planted that. I'm not sure who planted that. But that's something that, it seems though it's something that the highway department should do. Probably do it before we start cutting out across the new frontier to get to the school. But I wanted to kind of mention that.
We can move the gravel from there to the new access through the back of the school.
We're putting it together.
We'll figure out something.
I think
Does
one
he
of the
still work for the town or is he
He's
retired?
retired. Been retired for over a year now. One of the other things that we need to get addressed, and I think we've been relying on Eric Weiss to help us with it, and it doesn't seem to be terribly forthcoming, is DEP has some concerns with the transfer station.
Okay.
And we need to quantify and qualify what those are, I suppose, before, I mean, the letters, Mary, that you've got, you can get those to Todd. They said there were issues, but it wasn't A, B, C, D, from what I could read. It was, there's kind of broad issues with where it is and what's underneath it and where's it going. Because that used to be the dump.
Yeah. Sliding downhill into the brook, is that the?
I mean, it hasn't slid very far lately, I don't think, but.
Okay. I'm gonna get those back. All right, I'll take a look at that as well.
It's hard to figure out what there is. I know I went by Cummington's old dump, which is in a very similar position as that what that one was at the time, and I noticed that there's new pipes to let the methane out, is what I'm assuming, and then those sorts of things that might have to be done. But that really wasn't, it didn't say for sure in this one.
Yeah, I guess we need to figure out what they think the problems are, because I know just in the paper years ago, reading about, was it Wendell that had the one that all the stuff sliding in the middle of the river or something, so, we're on a steep slope there, so who knows what they think is happening.
No, I'm not speaking out of school, I don't believe it. 40 years ago, when that was a landfill, it was amazing that, every 6 or 8 months, somebody would throw some faulty wiring in there and it would catch on fire, so it would be going.
Yeah, that's the way it was done back then. And probably people will be mining that someday for all the stuff that's there.
It might, they very well may. So I think that's something we need to, as much as we've been trying to get our arms wrapped around the retention wall and the dam and that sort of thing, I think that might be the next kind of big project.
I can start looking into that.
Digging into that. Very short term, one of the things that, and I hope we'll be addressing it at the next meeting, is to make some final decisions on what's going to happen with the police department going forward. I mean, that, we have to make a final decision on that and get that set up prior to the 1st of July. Okay. Anything else that you're thinking of in particular? I mean, it's going to be quite a bit to kind of grab onto. I think we've grabbed onto quite a bit. What we've gone through, we get that printed out so you have a pretty good idea of this year's budget. Have you had a chance to review? I mean, you were there for this year's town meeting, so you got a pretty good handle. You've been following along on that. What we voted and how we voted it. One of the other things, I hope it's kind of short term that we're going to be taking care of is addressing the lien. You know, let's get that negotiated and behind us. The town certainly was firmly behind us in that. And we're going to discuss that a little bit further tonight.
Okay.
What other big money? We talked about last 2 weeks ago, nearly 2 weeks ago, when we reorganized, about when you're tickling the highway department there a little.
The truck.
You know.
Yep. Actually, I got a couple of vacation days next week, and I'm going to set up a meeting with Tom and see where he's at with that.
I hate to see you use your vacation days doing that.
Oh, that's fun stuff.
It's fun stuff. Okay. Okay. All right.
One thing I have, Tom, is I move out of the position of liaison for the town office here, and you move into it. Request for public information is only ramping up more and more, and it's very cumbersome. And I think we have to know how to get our arms around that, because it's a burden. It remains a burden, and it's growing.
So try to find something
A
besides
solution. Yeah. The more we supply, the hungrier folks get for more, and it's insatiable.
Well, I made some, what I felt were really good contacts with Steve Kulik at that selectmen's meeting we were at on the 5th. And he promised me a get-together with him and probably a couple other legislators at the same time. So I'll keep you apprised of that when it happens. But
If there's anything I can do to help, so.
Between Steve and Representative Kokot and Senator Dowling.
Yeah.
So I think we can make some headway. At least know that towns less than 10,000 don't have the resources to manage as much as communities of 100,000. Okay.
You should visit with Mary on your own sometime, try to understand the extent
Right.
of that.
Is one of the bottlenecks, are we supposed to be talking about this now?
Sure, we can.
Is one of the bottlenecks that the documents coming in are hard copy and not electronic?
You can't really put a finger on one or two things. They're just extraordinary requests in general. And date ranges and all emails and very cumbersome requests. You just visit with Mary and take a look at some of them.
Okay.
And there'll be, just to follow up on that, there's going to be at some point one of these seminars that the county puts on that talks about public records. And how much it's, you know, you have to be so careful about what public records, you know,
Yeah.
that even though they're public, they may not be
Yeah.
able to be let out and that sort of thing. That was one of the meetings I went to in Greenfield more than a year ago, that I was amazed that you really need, if you're really going to get into it, at some point you almost have to have an officer, you know, somebody to make those decisions on what is available and not available.
Yeah.
That was really kind of an eye-opening thing. So, okay. All right. So I make a short list of these things. Try to stay focused on some of these, you know, the best I can, and Mary, you know, try to pull me back to some of these when we're figuring out agendas and so forth. But it's a living, breathing list, and there's certainly going to be a lot of things that are going to come ahead of this, you know. I think there's a sizable crowd here tonight that isn't wondering why I'm not putting the big print at the top of the list, gas pipeline.
Well, we have a special town meeting,
We got a special, that's on the list anyway, so.
and for our agenda at our next meeting, we could include something on that.
So I wanted us to have that discussion out loud on things that we're really trying to work on. Okay, B, letters of extension of time to respond to open meeting law complaints, plus open meeting law responses and attorney general notifications. Do you have the copies of those in your packet?
I have signing copies here. And you have just some copies so you can see what's in the signing folder. And I will get you the letters of extension.
So these are responses to 1, 2, 3, 4 open meeting law complaints by Paulette Lucart, and 2 by Suzanne Corbett.
I see only 3 relative to Paula. Am I missing one?
Well, I've got 4 in
And 2
mine.
for Suzanne?
No, actually, I think you're right. Well, let's see, there are 5 out of the 6. We have,
Maybe I
Also-
miscounted, or do I
No,
have 2
no,
copies of
also-
the same one?
you also have copies that go to BAG indicating that we replied.
Okay.
So there are 3 responses to the complainant, Lupart, and 2 responses to the complainant,
Corbett.
Corbett.
Okay.
And then there are the letters to BAG as well. And
So I'll make a motion that we endorse these. You want to go through them one at a time, or?
No, I think we can handle them all as a set.
those can just go back in that folder.
I mean, these complaints came on or about March, well, they were March 24th, March 25th, and April 9th. And the Attorney General was kind enough to give us an extension to May 29th, knowing that it was budget season and getting ready for town meeting and all that important business that we needed to do. So with limited resources, the Attorney General granted a fairly long extension, certainly more than the routine.
So, are you entertaining a motion?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion that we endorse these 3 for Lucart that are in our hand that I've reviewed, and the 2 for Corbett now. And
so we still have one that we have to.
there's still one that's outstanding, and I would further that motion to invite the chair to sign off on that yourself at your convenience, because I believe, what's the clock on that?
You're right, actually, the extension will expire before the next select board meeting, but town council needed a little extra time on that last one, October 2nd.
And if you're uncomfortable with that, Todd, then we can come in individually and sign it.
No, I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now we get to sign our right away. Try to keep them together. Famous last words.
I'm glad I didn't buy the portable file box yet that I was gonna buy. 'Cause I was gonna buy one that was like this big. I think I need one on a suitcase or something bigger. Ooh, I have to build an addition to my house to store.
Or put a burning barrel outside.
Scan it and
File cabinet edition, sure.
I want one of those scanner things, just put that on through and.
Well, we know now we end up scanning things in.
Oh, well, yeah, you can make manuals, yeah.
But if you do that,
For me, yeah. Right.
Won't be long, maybe we'll have to, instead of signing, we'll just do a retinal scan or some such thing as that.
The electronic phone.
I want you to sign. We got everything but the bill. No doubt. You want this for the document we talked about the wetlands around the school?
yes, yep.
So you get the one more of it? There you go, sir.
response.
There's a third one. There's a third one that we're missing.
You have one more over there?
No, you got them all signed.
You want to look at this, Mary?
Hold on, let me go the, I have.
Unless, I'm missing something, let me just see. This is Susan, right? That's me. And it's Ray, this is, and that's me. So that's the two important ones. And there, how many do you have? So we got two, just two. And then there's two to name.
I think that third one we didn't print. We've been working hard to keep them together, Mary.
Yeah, you'd have to compare one for another, because there are three for Blue Badge in there.
Well, one of them that I had was a copy.
Oh, I see.
You already write that one out too.
See, these two here are identical copies.
Oh, so maybe that's where I get mixed up.
No, actually, they're not.
Yeah,
Start out
very
it's
similar
complicated
evaluation.
because a lot of the details are the same. Just
Yeah.
remember.
So which one do you have, Dave, that we signed? The one that's, this one is,
Except for that one. This is two.
see, this one's dated February 26th and March 10th.
There's a couple like that.
This is the one we're missing. Did we sign this one?
We have two. That's a little election, February 26th. That is one.
Okay, we didn't have the short one.
That did two of the long ones instead of one of the short ones, that's fine.
That's fine, so there's the third one.
There's it.
Is there a corresponding one to the
The responses are working together.
D&E?
It's right here.
Oh, it's okay.
It's in the file.
There you go. So when is the fourth one going to be completed?
By the end of the week, probably.
You coordinate with the chair?
I will, as soon as it's ready to sign off.
And we made the motion, it was seconded, and it was unanimous.
Yeah.
All right, so we're only
And
a
you
couple,
got all these signed, right?
we're only 2.5 weeks past town meeting, and the finance committee still won't leave us alone. You have a letter?
I do. It was right there, exactly, the last time. Let's see, is this it? It is.
Okay. This is a Finance Committee audit waiver request letter. It's good that they're thinking of it, because probably I wouldn't have thought of it until it came time. But it's to the United States, we've done this in the past.
Yes, we did.
United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development. What it has to do with is we have a rural development loan for the highway garage. And part of that loan agreement is that the town will undergo annual audits. But we asked for a waiver so it goes to every other year to save the town probably $10,000-12,000 anyway.
And they've granted them in the past.
Yeah.
There haven't been any problems, and they never discovered any problems.
No, not to do with the grant. There are
That's not
there.
they're on.
No, when the auditors do our work,
Mm.
you know, they're auditing everything. There is, we come into the office, it's right around the corner, is a whole box of the audit report and the management report that goes with it. So it all depends on where you want to read it, but it takes me a long time to get through it, but it's a little dry, but it's fine. The management is really pretty short.
Yeah.
So it says we write to request a waiver from the USDA's requirement to conduct a complete audit for fiscal year 13 for the town of Ashfield. Because of the outstanding loan of our highway department garage, we normally have conducted annual audits, but we understand the USDA has, in some circumstances, permitted small towns to conduct audits every other year. In Ashfield's case, we will be conducting a complete audit for fiscal year 14, and it is our understanding that this audit is based in part on data from 13, so it effectively looks back 2 years. Moreover, by continuing to conduct audits at least every other year, as recommended by the Department of Revenue's Division of Local Services and Technical Assistant Division, talk about a run-on sentence. We believe we can ensure good and prudent oversight of Ashfield's finances and financial management practices. In light of our town's limited financial resources, we respectfully request USDA waiver from the requirements for a 13 audit. This goes to Leonard Shoesdak, at USDA right now. Is there a motion?
So moved.
To sign it and accept this and send it on its way? Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye, unanimous. Go. Go. All right. Is Nancy here? Nancy Garvin? Want to give her a dirty look. She's next on the agenda. Do we have a resignation letter?
Well, actually, she's not on the agenda. We have a resignation letter, and I apologize. No,
It's on the agenda.
it's on, she's not on the agenda as an appointment, is what I meant to say. Just a minute, I actually have a few pieces of mail from Alexis. Here we go.
Oh, May 6, 2014, to the Ashfield Select Board, from Nancy Gray Garvin. Since my term of office expires on July 1st, 2014, and since Jody Hall is willing to serve on the Historical Commission in my place, I hereby resign from the Ashfield Historical Commission effective immediately. I request that the Select Board appoint Jody Hall in my place. She has done extensive research on both local and state historical commissions. I feel her many contacts with historical researchers, Her knowledge and enthusiasm will greatly benefit this commission. I will continue to contribute to my own research on the Ashfield properties to the Historical Commission. I'll move to accept Nancy Gray Garvin's resignation from the Historical Commission with regret. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Okay. So, while we're on this, Jody, do you have any idea who you're throwing in with? Are you willing? Nancy acts like you're very willing, so I'm wondering if...
She's asked me, I now know what happens when you step into the political arena. And I accept whatever the official language is for it.
But
If
it is something
you so desire.
it is something you're interested in, and
Yes.
I mean, nobody's leading us down the primrose path, so to speak. So, we have a 5-member historical commission?
Yeah.
Okay. So, tell me who they are.
Myself, the speaker, chair, Tristan Romer, Gerard Governor, Molly DeVries, and it was Nancy Gardner. So, you know.
So you-
And I'd like to, on behalf of the Historical Commission, endorse this and be pleased to have her on, great addition to the commission.
I think it would be great. Amongst yourselves, have you had any discussion? Does it seem like everybody that's currently on the commission is willing to continue to serve?
Currently, yes. The next person somebody else is mentioning, I'm not going to put their name out there, but somebody else is considering, leaving, maybe 6 months or so. But
Well, I think everyone needs to follow Nancy's lead, that no one can leave anything, any board or commission or anything, until you've hooked somebody else to take your place.
absolutely, she's a wonderful example.
That's right, there's a lesson to be learned there. So is there a motion to appoint Jody? This, of course, we'll do all our appointments the 1st of July again, but is there an appointment to get us there?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we appoint Jody Hall to the Historical Commission for the remainder of Nancy's term.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Too late.
Good.
You're on.
So we can get that in.
It's a procedural issue. Is there some action I need to take
Talk to the clerk.
to,
Um,
okay.
Yeah,
Town clerk is.
I will, actually, first, I will do up a letter indicating the vote this evening, send a copy to you, and I'll have information on what you need to do, and get in touch with the town clerk, and be sworn in, and take an ethics test and so forth.
That'll give you a reason to go to the mailbox in the morning.
I'm there.
Wait for that.
Thanks, Jody.
Thank you. I hope that isn't setting the stage for Garvin's leaving things. Okay. Oh, let's move to F, appointment Judy Hall to the planning board to fill the unexpired term. It says postpone, appoint Kozlowski as an alternative member.
Right, because we actually have to look into some of the details on alternative members for planning board.
And what seat who emptied this seat?
Sarah Holbrook.
Sarah Holbrook, that was mentioned to me. Did we have a resignation from Sarah that we ever acted on?
We, actually, that's probably in here too, because it came while before that, so let me see. We have not acted on it, however. And oh,
Did it come in as a printed?
yeah, it came into town clerk, but I have a copy. Let me just take a look and see if I've got it here. Here, Sarah.
Why don't we do one before the other? If we can.
Yep.
So now I'll go back to E. And I said we were going to come back to this with the HRA, the Housing and Redevelopment Authority negotiations. I think it's important that one of us be appointed to try to be the one to negotiate whatever terms there's going to be on releasing this lien that we were authorized at town meeting for. I gladly volunteer to be the select board point person on that.
Okay.
I really think this is a kind of a two-stage deal, but I do think if we get to this, you can see at the end of the agenda, and we're doing very well as far as time at this point. I think we did very well. If you guys approve to go into executive session to just talk about negotiating strategy.
Okay. Which article was that?
14.
So you're looking for a motion?
Yeah. If you want to
Yeah.
authorize Todd to do it, or whoever.
You said,
I volunteer, I think that's something I do.
in accordance with Article 14 of our annual town meeting warrant, I nominate Tom to represent this board to negotiate the terms of the settlement.
Second. Any other discussion at this time?
No? So we'll have a meeting now.
Well, so I'll be the point person. Well, that's on the agenda. We'll get through the rest of the agenda, and if we have time and we're up to it tonight, we can go into executive session to discuss that.
Thanks for doing that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. Do you have it, Mary, or no?
I don't think so. It's probably on my desk. I can go look for it. Now.
Well,
Hmm?
yeah, well, if you would.
Yep.
If we take care of one before the other, that would be proper to go that way. And we'll move to, what's the deal with Walter announcement? I mean, is that we're postponing
We're
that?
postponing that. Yep.
All right, we're trying to figure that out. Some people are trying to sneak out of public service, can you believe it?
But if we're gonna, if she gets the letter,
Then we'll do the resignation of Susan, because Walt was an alternative, an alternate.
she would automatically fill in as an
I
alternate.
think he wants to not be an alternate. The idea of the alternate member is if somebody on the plan, someone came to the planning board and they had a conflict of interest, then an alternate would step in that place.
See, I interpreted this as that he was filling the position that Sarah was vacating. No.
That's not the way I understand
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I think Walt wants to give up that alternate
Alternate position. I see.
I believe.
Okay.
Okay. But, so why don't we move on to old business, and Ron, you want to take up this lake dam repair?
Basically, I have two copies of this proposal. This is a proposal that was sent to us on November 25th by Ty and Bond for the lake and the dam repair. And what I've done is, it's the exact same one. We had 6 months to execute it. But I talked to the engineer there. Name escapes me at the moment. And I put right above our acceptance line, the endorsement, 3 things. Endorsed by the town contingent upon all products to be received digitally also, because, you know, they do plans or reports, I want to get them digitally, which makes it so much easier. Number 2, do not expend or invoice more than 15K prior to 7/1/14. I don't want to be dealing with that sort of situation. And 3, perform hydrology analysis and report back first. Because the one concern that has my antenna up is that if the hydraulic analysis of this, because of global warming and everything, says that the dam height should be higher, that's the one caveat, the one condition in this that says this proposal is not enough money. Where they made the assumption that the hydrology study analysis would be that the dam height was sufficient, because everything would have to go up. Say the dam had to go up 6 inches, then the whole crest has to go up 6 inches, and that's a completely different design situation. They were assuming that the in-situ design was basically preserved. You know, the crest was at that elevation. So I don't want them to expend the entire budget before they tell us that. I want to know, because that's only a $5,000 number, the hydrology analysis. So he said I could mark this in here before we endorse it. It's only one signature. This chair will do it.
So, just before I lose my train of thought, and I wasn't here for the public meeting when
The presentation.
The presentation.
Budget. This is next budget.
Is it correct, me recalling that there was no, when the state gave us grants to rebuild the dam 20 years ago, or maybe it was 25 years ago now,
Yep.
that there was no hydraulic analysis?
They reference in the proposal, I can find it pretty quick, that I think one of them was done in the 70s, but no one can put their hands on it, no one can find it. And it might be in the 90s, so let me just, give me 5 seconds, but I can get to it quickly. It's under that section, design, hydrology.
It's just amazing to me that the amount of money that was spent at that time, that, you know, now hydraulic analysis is so important.
Just give me 5 seconds here.
Isn't that the way when you're looking for something?
Okay, I think on the bottom of page 2, the back side of page 1, it says hydrology and hydraulic evaluation of the dam indicate that it is inadequate, that it has an inadequate capacity to safely pass the spillway design fund flood, SDF, which is 1/2 of the probable maximum flood. These past analysis include one performed in 1978 on behalf of the Corps of Engineers and an existing conditions analysis, so on and so forth. But we need to get our arms around that. We need to know what that is. I have my fingers crossed that we're okay on that.
Will they take into effect any beavers that are building dams upstream of, okay. So, the, what you've handed me here,
Yep. With that written, one more page, just boilerplate in the back.
is $77,600.
Correct.
And with what we voted at annual town meeting, we have that covered.
With last year's set aside of 50.
Right, we voted at 62,000.
Yep.
What article is that?
Towards the beginning.
This letter is not behind the other two, is it? I saw it sometime just before the meeting, but no, it's not on my desk, so.
Ron, the question I had was, is this like an assessment of the hydrology in the entire watershed, or just the soil, the
Anything
soil
that-
around the dam?
Anything that feeds the lake,
Right.
that's what they've got to evaluate. Is the capacity in the overtopping sufficient, or does it need to be higher?
Not that the water level in the lake would be higher, but that the impoundment would hold more
Exactly,
in the event of a leak or something.
that's right.
Yeah, I'd be very afraid of what to say.
Well, I mean, we need to know that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, every single inspection report that's come in has said something like, this study needs to be done, not this big enough one, but the hydrology one, this concerns us. And we've gone into from a satisfactory to a fair condition on it, and I suggest something proactive. So I expressed to this fellow my desire to get as much done on the hydrology analysis first, and then report back to us.
So the idea is if they need some money, they can get started. If they need some money, according to this contract, we've got the $15,000 that we voted last year. And then July 1st, we'll have, it'll all get done.
Hopefully not, if they come back and say that.
Right.
Yeah, if, that's correct. If the design of the current dam is sufficient from a hydrology analysis, then they're going to go forward on the full shovel-ready project for us.
Yeah, we already have one.
If they say, you're 6 inches low on this thing, then I would suggest to this board, we say, let's stop and regroup, and figure out what is the design of the new press going to cost us, and so on and so forth.
Seems like we're going to have to call on bigger wallets to help us.
I think so.
So this contract, $77,600, $3,400 for information review and dike condition assessment. Topographic, that's $3,400. Topographic survey and wetland delineation, $12,600. Hydrology and $12,600 for wetland delineation. We don't want to do that on the road to nowhere.
They're talking about the entire watershed that feeds that lake, so there's that one stream coming in.
Hydrology and hydraulics, that's $5,600. Design, $35,100. Permitting, $19,700. That's permitting to do the testing, permitting to actually get ready to do some work.
Permitted to do everything, because if you recall, there's some grading behind Nolan's and such, so they have to permit that also. There are nothings there.
So it comes to $77,600. Are we all on board with this? I mean, this, I wasn't at the presentation, but this is what we discussed.
This is it.
This is it.
Tom, before we sign, can I ask a question? Given the size of the money, are we on safe ground that we don't have any other bids to look at before we sign just a contract with one person?
It's professional services.
Professional
It comes under
services.
professional services, so we are,
So you don't need the multiple bids?
since it is professional services, it's not necessary.
Thank you.
It has that exemption. So, motion to sign this and get going with it?
So move.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Authorized representatives, and that's fortunate, there's only place for one signature. I wasn't gonna say it.
Mary, can you scan this and send me a digital copy? plans to get to him soon? Because there's a 6-month expiration of the proposal, which occurs in a week or 2.
Is there any reason it can't go out tomorrow?
Is there any what?
Doesn't need anything additional.
No, that's fine, that's the way it is.
Okay. All right, found it.
Sorry, it was attached.
That's fine, we had other things to do. We had other things to do. All right, so this is addressed to Mike Fitzgerald, Planning Board Chair, dated May 14th. It says, "Dear Michael, regretfully, I must resign from the Planning Board due to a head injury that is making it difficult for me to concentrate on the issues before the board at this time. I greatly enjoyed working with you and other members of the board over the past 6 years and wish you the best with all the issues ahead. Sincerely, Sarah Holbrook, 47 Bailey Road." So it was effective May 14th. So I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation of Sarah Holbrook with regret.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the other side of that one is, see, you did a great, you can't leave unless you find somebody that's all ready to step in. So Judy Hopp and Ashfield up on Watson Spruce Corner Road. Is there a motion to appoint her to the planning board to replace Sarah's? This is just the letter that I'm going to sign to say that she's appointed.
I'll make a motion to appoint Judy Hawk to fill that unexpired term on the planning board.
Isn't she on one of the committees already?
Park.
Well, that's, okay. I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. I like this one, it says congratulations. There you go, and that back. I think that one needs to go over to Tom. All right, I'm getting them right off here. So Walt's, that we just need to take that up at a later time when it gets figured out.
Right, because there's some questions about alternative members of the planning board, and town clerk's doing a little research on that.
Perfect.
And Walt knows that, and Michael knows that.
It's a few minutes before 9. I did have on here, is there anything that we need to review about annual town meeting that was discussed, what was passed, about the budget, where we're at on that? And they had that listed on.
We had a sidewalk issue we had to come to terms with at some point.
That needs to go on the priority list, doesn't it? I have to say, the discussion on the sidewalks, it was fun to see town meeting work their way through that.
Did I read right in the paper that was a 90-minute discussion? Is that accurate? Was it really a 90-minute discussion?
Was it really?
It felt like 20 minutes. I mean, it didn't seem like it was that long, but a lot of people were really engaged in that.
It was interesting to see them find their way through it, so, but it's still here. So, we're gonna have to put this on an agenda to figure out what type of committee or subcommittee or exactly what needs, not that I get too crazy about committees. I don't get much crazy, too crazy about committees, and I don't get too crazy about being on liaison.
Right. Which would you rather do? Be a liaison or create a committee?
Oh, I'd rather be a liaison, myself, I'd rather be a liaison than create a committee. I'd almost rather just figure it out and do it
What if you
myself.
created a
Because
committee and you're
liaison-
a liaison of the committee?
No, that doesn't work. My issue with being the liaison is
Yeah.
sometimes you can't almost tell it would be a champion for who you were, and I think it's hard to check yourself. But that's my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, sidewalk. The sidewalk, that could turn out to be, it could be a big deal or it could be not such a big deal. I think there's a lot of different people that have some good ideas. I think with the cooperation, it's possible with the cooperation of 5 property owners that it would be a non-issue. But we'll have to work through that and put that on an agenda to discuss it a little time. On the budget.
Yep.
I think it was, pretty good at recalling from memory. We've got the levy limit where we can only raise so much. I think
We're right up against it.
I think we're at $4,458 away is the number I have committed to my memory. It may be off by a few dollars one way or the other, but $4,458 is what I have in my mind on a almost $4.25 million budget. That's how close we are. So not having a lot of special town meetings.
Collect these paper clips.
Collect those paper. So, but I do think it was pretty much a success what we went through. It was great just having that. So,
Keep everything real tight this year.
we need to keep things really tight, and Mary, I know that you want to be reminded of another project, but we talked about it a couple of different times during the budget, is that before the beginning of the fiscal year, we were going to contact the different committees that seem to want to draw on these accounts to inform them, if you had, right, like in town hall, the town hall building committee, you've got the office staff and so forth, everybody's thinking that money's available.
And IT money or other things.
But when we went through the budget, we really carved out money for those. So we wanted to go back where there's multiple committees and so forth that are drawn from the same pool of funds. We wanted to send them a letter saying, this isn't all yours. You've got $2,247 of this and act accordingly. So, and when you get that done, if you'd be more comfortable with me signing that after we go through, or it would be fine with me. The rest of the board, you think it should come from?
I don't think you need to.
You don't think I should need to sign that, right?
No, I'm saying I don't think we need to bring it to this table. I think if you sign it, that's what it is.
I mean,
It's based on where
it's
Yeah, we've
based on
already deliberated on it, and it's just...
It's just I think it's good to put it in print so everybody's
I agree.
notified. Good. Anything else on the budget? Okay. Liaison reports.
I'll have more to report at the next board meeting.
That's fine. Understandable. I see the police chief left. I spoke with her today about a couple of different sites to put the speed trailer. And she's happens to be getting ready, if she hasn't already, to work with the woman I sleep with on Memorial Day to figure out that. So that'll be the next big thing. Is Memorial Day. Let's see, that's a week from today.
It is.
A week from today, we'll be sitting saying, boy, that barbecue was so good. It's hard for me to do. So it's a week to put that together. And she's going to get some more information together so we can hopefully have a good discussion on June 2nd about, which will be our next meeting to get this police department sorted out and make some decisions on that. Okay, Ron, anything?
Nothing more.
Nothing more?
I did have a little note on next board meeting. I don't know if we had gotten to that, but on June 30th, I won't be here. I'll be on vacation. That's 7 meetings, so I can believe that.
June 30th, what happens to me special on June 30th? My wife is here. There's something in my mind on June 30th. Oh, I start a 2-month stint at the U.S. District Court on jury duty.
Me too.
Did you? Maybe we can carpool, but we
No,
can't.
we can't.
Okay.
You can ride the trunk.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, so you got one from the district court, yeah.
So no select board meetings for July?
It's a 2-month deal. That's what I.
July and August.
Is it the same days?
No, you said June or July?
I start June 30th, and I think it's 2
Reread
months.
the thing, I think, yeah.
It's U.S. District Court in Springfield, it's
Yeah.
grand jury.
Wow.
I've got to find some contacts.
Yeah.
They may not even, they're not going to work that hard during vacation season, so. All right, so, no, we'll have to work on those meetings. What do you have for us for mail?
Also, June 2nd, we will look at and sign a special town meeting warrant. I'll have it down there for a couple of versions so that you can decide at the beginning.
Right, that's a big thing on June 2nd. That's,
It's the last chance.
we're going to have to drop a dime to some of these department heads to see if,
Oh,
I mean, I'm looking
at all of them.
I'm looking at the expense report and I only see a couple of very small things that were over
And
right now.
I got, let's see, what do I have? So we have the citizen petition, of course, which will be the first thing, and we have a small amount, FY14 bill for, is this 14? Yeah, 14. Emergency planning committee. I have it in here, but there are a couple of the retirement
Benefits?
retirement benefits, because we had an employee who went from employee to retirement who was unexpected, so we'll move some from one line to the other. The retiree line will take the balance from the employee health insurance line. And
Well, I know the retiree benefit health, there was an email because Ted
Mhm.
asked about that address copy.
Right.
And the reason it's showing so negative is that they haven't got the employees' money yet.
No, there was an email after that, actually, that is often the reason it is, it shows as with a negative balance, but actually in this case, it's because we did have an employee retire, who had not been expected to retire over the years, so started drawing from that line earlier than was expected. So, however, was not drawn from employee health insurance, so we can move those two things.
Well, I would think the thing to do on the FERCog radio maintenance, that we're
Mhm.
off by $63.
Talk to the, it's $100, talk to the finance board.
This expense report, it says $63.60.
That's something different. This is actually an assessment that was not mandatory the year before, but
Okay, and then you got $144, $144.84 for town common principal. You know, those, anything less than 500, I mean, I don't know what you got $31.08 for ambulance radio assessment. I mean, is it the board's thought that we should forward those small things to the finance committee?
actually the finance committee has done 2 of them already at 30 and that's 60. But if there are other small ones, I can check with the chair.
Right, I mean, I would, I mean, if it's under $300, can we kind of agree that that needs to get forwarded to the finance committee? And they haven't spent anything out of their reserve except those two.
Those two.
And why aren't they reflected on this yet? That's what the other thing I don't understand.
I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. It may just be paperwork the last few weeks.
Well, that was back in the winter, so I wonder if it got skipped when we were going through all the budget stuff.
No, there was some reason I had to hold it for a couple of weeks. I would have to look.
We just need to make sure it gets.
Yep, well, I know it's there. We also have Junior Olympics for the special town meeting. I remember when, was it,
Yes.
when Plainfield came, Heather.
Yeah, Heather came. So we can get that figured out. But I would really like this, my personal opinion is the special town meeting on June 23rd to be about the petition article. And not to have any extra business. I mean, we're not looking for extra articles to go in there, although we may have to have one or two maybe for
What about
bookkeeping
Junior
purposes.
Olympics?
What's that?
What about Junior Olympics? When they came, you said maybe take it to a meeting. So that one on or not?
I bet we can find a way to take care of that.
Without-
My feeling is that when they get kids signed up, my bet is that there are people in town that would be more than happy to donate that money. for
Okay.
their entry.
So we'll keep it just to the citizens petition.
That, I will try to find sponsors to take care of that. I think it was $5 a head, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was pretty small.
It was very small. Okay,
Well, I don't know.
you have one? So far, I mean.
No, for the special town,
Right.
anything small, bigger.
Anything else in the mail? We already talked about this letter that we got from Cindy.
Right, you've seen that. And then there are some other letters which I didn't have time to make copies of that people provided.
You can forward those to us?
Yes, I think probably what I should do is scan them and forward them, and they come with
Do
material.
any of them seem to be time sensitive?
No, this one is pipeline related, and some are internet service provider, town hall speaker related. So why don't I scan those in and send those
I got a
back?
thought bouncing around in my mind. I mean, generally, we have to have, for Monday meetings, we have to have an agenda posted
Right.
by 7 on Thursday. So it has the correct number of hours for posting time. And although we, or I, or even Mary can say, there's something that we overlooked that needs to be added, would it be proper for us to have it as our policy? Maybe it only needs to be my policy, but for other things that come to us in the last minute. I mean, when people know that you have a select board meeting on Monday, it's amazing how many people will approach you at the dump on Sunday morning that they want to come in on Monday.
Or I'll get requests on Monday, which I did get one in that. Right.
So, but they really need to, we really need, people that want to be on the agenda for Monday, somehow we need to, we can't be adding a bunch of stuff and sorting through that on Friday, Saturday, Sunday to change the agenda on Monday.
What are you suggesting?
Well, I just want to know if that, you guys would feel that would be the correct policy. We gotta.
But we're dictated that we gotta give 48 hours notice.
But you can add to an agenda for things that you don't know 48 hours in advance.
Anticipated.
Yeah, so, we get these requests and so forth, and my personal feeling is that we have to say, see you in 2 weeks, sort of thing.
I think, leave it to the chair. All situations aren't necessarily predictable, and something could come up that you feel you need to put on. I do think that we should try to post as much as we can, and I think you fill up the meeting pretty well. And otherwise, if you just open it up too much, we'll be here till 11 at the meeting, so.
Yeah, I think you really have to filter that pretty carefully and make sure that, as long as it's not something really time sensitive that's going to cause somebody harm or,
Yeah.
Right.
then
We'll
it should be on the
And
agenda.
see, the thing that comes to my mind is that you can get you can get, you'll find this over time, I see you get, sometimes it's just a barrage of emails of things that someone thinks, and they're important, they're important issues to them.
Right,
I'm not taking that away.
right.
But at some point, when we only have limited resources, I mean, the office isn't open on Friday, people are working on Friday and trying to get through that, and
But we
and
don't
then you
want
come
people
in
to
on,
count
you
on
come in
that.
on the weekend, on Monday morning, and instead of getting ready the way you should for the meeting, you're trying to sort through all the rest of the
Right.
stuff, and I think we have to, anything we can do to eliminate that.
Yeah, I mean, before I worked in government, I always wanted to get things done yesterday. Since I've started working in government, I kind of have come to the understanding or feeling that there's a certain amount of molasses built into the system for a reason. To give you time to really think things through and make sure you're doing the right thing. And you're not, going down the wrong course and trying to decide things too quickly. So I think, to your point, whatever we can get on the agenda, absolutely, of course, we should. And bring it up to those, the unanticipated things should only be things that are really so time sensitive that we have to do something.
Well, that's really what I've been trying to do, but sometimes
Well, things will come up. Things will come
you
up.
might feel overwhelmed in trying to decide those things. And it should really, there's times a year when I am not the most available on Monday until about 6:45 when I show up here.
Yeah, I mean, I came screaming in on two wheels,
All right. well,
Personally, if there's something that is somewhat urgent, I'd rather extend our Monday night meeting. My calendar's maxed out, so to pull one out of thin air on a Wednesday or Thursday night is more difficult for me than to extend my Monday night, so.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to, if something comes out that we have to stick around till
I feel the
11.
same way.
So like I said, I just wanted some direction
Okay.
from you folks.
Yeah, I'd much rather do that on Monday than.
Well, we'll have plenty of opportunities for that, but we're going through this agenda really very good tonight. I'm very pleased. All right, good. Good. So, I don't have anything here on items not reasonably anticipated.
Well, you'll see some items where you see a star in the agenda. Those are things that came in.
But we took care of it.
We took care of them, right, and some of them, because we posted this meeting early, a couple of them went on just after the original posting, which was well before. That's how you can tell.
Okay. So, the much anticipated public comment session. Anybody have anything they'd like to share? Cindy?
Yeah, and I just want to clarify something. I tried to get this on the agenda last Tuesday and was told that the agenda was full and that we couldn't. The best we could hope for was to get mail into the town hall before the end of the week. The mail was hand-delivered on Thursday.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you want me to read the cover letter to you?
I don't really, personally, I've got the letter I can read.
Okay.
But if you want to talk about the high points and what your interest is, that would be,
Some of the things that are going on with pipeline people are that they have now sent letters to landowners threatening to take them in a group to the DPU. And that's going to be expensive for landowners and so on and so forth. They're planning on doing this the first week of June. Many people feel, and because we haven't been through it yet here in Massachusetts, that the legal standing of landowners is improved immensely when the town says no to the pipeline, because there's a whole backing behind the landowners. The selectmen have lots of choices. As elected officials that run this town, you can declare on your own that the pipeline is not coming through here. You can put a resolution yourselves on the special town meeting. You can ask other people to do that. If you wanted a copy of a resolution, of our draft of a resolution, it could be here tomorrow morning. There are lots of things, but the town is facing a lot of risks with this pipeline that are financial, that are safety. Homeowners who want to sell their property have had people back out of the sale because the pipeline is just proposed. So people are already having the effects of this pipeline hit them quite hard. So basically what we're asking is for the select board to really do some thinking about this and step forward as the leaders of this town. I'm sure Jim has more things he'd like to say.
I thought you did a very good job.
Thank you. Okay.
Anybody else? Feel free, this is your time.
Several towns have already voted on this, and it has passed the town. In other words, there were
12 towns now have voted no pipeline.
right?
Some of those,
Are those towns listed in here?
some of them are, some of them just happened this week. I only gave you 3 copies of resolutions. I didn't think that you wanted all 12.
The towns though, they have a lot of whereas, but the resolutions are, we the town people will close the pipeline through our town. We ask our select board to stand on that and oppose it. And then we further ask our legislators and executive, state and local to oppose it. Those are basically the 3 resolutions we want to whereas. I think they basically all say so.
Do you have the legal authority to do that as the select board at any point in time?
Any other comments?
I have a comment. We're not allowed to deliberate with you, so
And
excuse us, because it's not on the agenda.
yes,
Can we allow a certain amount of time for next week? I mean, would you consider that if in her letter, which I read, there were 76 properties, that's something like 7% of our registered voters. And I'd be curious to know more about this. I haven't gone to any of the forums that have been listed. There are 2 of them coming up in June, I noticed, prior to our 23rd meeting, and I want to get smart on this. But I'd be interested in allowing some time before the SDM if you'd entertain that. Yeah, and give it a time slot, you know.
Well, certainly June 2nd. I'm hoping we will be signing a warrant for the special town meeting. Right? Because we'll only be 21 days, and we have to post at least 14 days. So if there's some discussion about wanting to put something else on that special town meeting and take action, I mean, certainly that
To be folded into.
certainly can be folded into that discussion. And when you said next week, you really meant 2
I
weeks.
meant 2 weeks, yeah.
That's the question. Would the select board prefer that the townspeople draft a resolution to get 100 signatures, or would the select board prefer to draft a resolution? So I guess that's one of the questions we would have.
I hate to answer a question with a question, but what do you think would have the most clout? Something that came from the body, from even the bigger body that may show up at a special town meeting, or the board?
I think the board would have the most clout, and I'll tell you why. When the old Sanderson was torn down, we had a petition signed by 600 people in town to preserve that building, and it was ignored by the board. So I think the board has more power. And I would encourage you to, formulate some declarative statement about this pipeline, sooner rather than later.
Just to clarify the decision on the old Sanderson, it was the town meeting that made the decision. It was town meeting that voted the money to demolish that building. So town meeting has a lot. It wasn't that the board ignored it. I mean, town meeting made an overwhelming decision to come up with the money to demolish that. So I think town meeting, myself, I always feel that town meeting has the ultimate authority. But that's just the way I am. Just like it's hard for me to argue when somebody says, well, let's take it to town meeting. Because I have a lot of respect for town meeting.
It's difficult though to sit back and watch these towns down the pipeline route, one after another, with the select boards confirming that they don't want this, and we have 76 properties in this community, and we haven't spoken. I mean, it's really difficult. I don't know how you come out on that personally, but I find it very difficult to watch other towns with fewer properties abutting committing already, and we're sitting here with potential drop in property values, tax revenues, and you haven't spoken. Find it really tough.
I would feel very much the same. I would feel very anxious if we were in a position that we were on either end, the east end or the west end, west and east end of the pipeline. It seems to me that as far as Franklin County is concerned, we're about smack dab right in the middle of it, or Western Mass, and certainly a lot of communities are having a lot to say on each end of us. So I don't feel the urgency because there's all these other communities that are, and I think if we're making headway, this is just my personal thought, that we are making some headway on this. Certainly having a special town meeting where we're going to have the legislators, we've already made appointments to have legislators here to talk about that. When you talk about people that should have a lot of clout, but we're going to discuss it more on June 2nd.
So are we going to, is the pipeline going to be on the agenda for June 2nd? Because I tried to get that in place and was told that agenda was also set.
Our special, we're going to be...
No, I didn't say that agenda was set. I said that I already have a folder with things, but that the chair will, as we get closer to that meeting, look at everything that's
Thanks,
on the
Mary.
agenda, including...
They can take a firm aim at me.
the chair, they put together an agenda, the chair always finalizes.
So the landowners that are now facing the possibility of being taken without the support of the town, I just want to make you aware of the fact that, 76 landowners are, that's a lot of people in this town. They're all, and it's like if the town does not take a stand, then they're all on their own individual, each individual without the town's support legally.
And help me understand again the timeline on that, because you said Kinder Morgan was going to, or Tennessee Gas, whoever it is, was going to act on that in early June?
They're talking about putting in their information into the DPU the first week of June.
What does that mean?
That means that what Kinder Morgan has said is that they want to take all the people who have said no to surveying
Yeah.
and clump them together. And the DP will then have to have a hearing as to whether or not this is going to happen. One of the things, if each person wants their own constitutional rights, you know, and to stand up, each hearing can be separate. They
What
have to
I
come
don't,
together.
what I don't understand is if we don't act before that happens,
Right.
and we wait until June 23rd, is that too late?
It's without something coming from the town to support the landowners, they have less of a legal footing
Right.
in the DPU, hearings and things like that. It's like if the landowners have the support of the town, then they have more footing that they can say, continue to say no on,
I get that.
all right?
Well, my question is,
Well, that's why we were here tonight, because the
Okay.
timeline is getting very close, and
okay,
it's getting very scary for all of these people.
right,
But Cindy, I'm feeling uncomfortable right now because we're really deliberating, we're strategizing here. So
I'm sorry.
Tom has said that on the 2nd, this sort of discussion is in keeping with the special town meeting discussion. And all I recommend, I'm not recommending as per the board, all I recommend is you come armed for bear. If you think you need petitions, you come with petitions. If you don't, I mean, and I think the chair has told you that hearing it from the body is usually stronger, and just come prepared on the 2nd, whatever that means.
And any information you want to forward to us,
Beforehand? Got it.
I very much like it if it's one piece of information coming in one direction instead of the same piece of information coming through
From
the email
18.
from 18 different sources. That clutters things up and you get so you don't hardly regard it at all. But if we have that information, then we'll have something that we can actually talk about when it's on the agenda. Does that sound like a good idea?
It does. My issue is that two of the public forums that are being offered at GCC are after the 2nd. So I'm trying to be educated now. I would encourage you guys to talk individually with your select board members too. And, I think as far as correspondence, it should probably go through Mary and let her push it towards the select board so that we all get the same information. But there's nothing preventing you from using the phone and calling us individually either. I think that's very important to reach out. And this way, come the 2nd, we'll see how many other people are interested in this. I think it's the appropriate time.
Any other public comment on that issue? Any other public comment? Yes.
I have a public safety concern, and I know you're a liaison to the police department. And so you probably can't answer because this is public comment, but last week there was an incident with a man who is frequently in Ashfield, who is known to enter homes where doors are not locked. It happened on Main Street, and I would hope that the town, either through the police department or from the select board, would find a way to notify citizens to maybe keep their doors locked, because in all possibility, he will be back in town. He was in the house, helped himself to items, left his items behind, and it happened right here on Main Street, and a lot of people probably think this is a safe town and their doors are open, but to the point where you might want to lock the door when you're on the inside, because it just sets up a situation where somebody enters your home. Technically, it doesn't matter if it's breaking and entering if you're starved.
So I'm assuming since you're bringing it to the select board that someone brought it to the police chief.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They were called, it just somehow to notify citizens that this is, it seemed too well known not to share it with people. It wasn't just a first occurrence.
Any other public comment? Yes.
Yes, I would just like to reiterate that the issue of the pipeline is not just a butters issue on some proposed pipeline, but it is a town issue, and appropriately it will be addressed at a special town meeting. But we need to do everything we can as a town to support the landowners who are, at this point, on the hot seat in terms of dealing with a large corporation that has a tactic of approaching people individually and not getting in touch with the town leaders and giving them advance notice that they are attempting to construct something of such major proportions in a town that will have huge impacts on everything that is happening here. So I think that is part of the impetus for us coming here with such urgency tonight, and I'd just like to make that clear.
All right, that will conclude the public comment period. Looks like our agenda for June 2nd will be quite full. It is 9:35, and I would like to make a motion that the Select Board will meet in executive session under Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Item 6, to consider negotiation that has to do with property. On the part of that motion should actually be that we'll come back out in open session to decide, to announce what, if anything, that we did, right? We have to come back into open session.
You have to announce whether you're going to come back into open session or not. And you wouldn't announce the details.
Right. So since we've completed all the rest of our agenda 100% tonight, part of my motion would be that we will not come back into open session. Is that second? So that is still.
And then you have to vote as a
roll call. Right? Todd O'Leary.
Aye.
Ron Kohler. Aye. Tom Carter. Aye. All right. We'll go into the little room.